gas pains, and economic worries. Fuel prices take their toll. This is Now You Know. I'm Rob Snow.
The top news stories
and conversations that matter to you.
This is Now You Know with Rob Snow on News Radio.
Ouch. Despite a nationwide cut in gas taxes from the federal government, the price of gas continues to rise across the country to levels not seen in nearly 4 years. For example, in Calgary, there was shock and anger after gas prices jumped about 20 cents a liter this week. Rain Rashid is with City News Calgary.
$1.82.9 per liter. That's the price that you'll pay for regular gas at this Calgary Northwest gas station, up around 20 cents per liter compared to just last week, and around 60 cents per liter compared to a year ago, according to Gas Buddy's price average. And some in Calgary are finding it harder and harder to afford gas.
It's crazy, especially with people with low income. It's like I can only afford about $20 for every 2 weeks, and it's crazy.
While the war in Iran and the disruption of the Strait of Hormuz has played a major role in the increase, Richard Masson, former CEO of Alberta Petroleum Marketing Commission, says the latest increase is caused by other factors as well.
There's a lot of things pushing prices higher, and they've been bouncing all over, but one of them has been a big refinery in the northern U.S. had some operational trouble, and so the supply was tight, and when you see that one of the refineries that provides diesel, gas, and jet is not operating as well as it could be, then suddenly everybody pushes up the prices because there's just shortages.
Masson adding that the trend is for gas prices to continue increasing, and despite the federal government cutting the federal fuel excise tax, saving Canadians 10 cents a liter, some are still frustrated with the costs.
My grocery budget or anything like that you you need gas to get around, but it goes somewhere, you have to take it out of something.
Rain Rashid, City News, Calgary.
According to GasBuddy.com, gas prices are averaging above $1.80 a liter now in every single Canadian province. Alberta and Saskatchewan have the lowest average gas prices at about $1.80.3. BC has the highest average gas price at more than $2 a liter. In Ontario, there was another increase in gas prices overnight, up between 7 and 9 cents a liter in most places. And experts aren't ruling out gas prices hitting that $2 a liter mark. Alessandro Canaro reports from City News Toronto.
At gas stations throughout Toronto and the GTA, motorists are filling up their tanks ahead of another rise at the pumps.
Well, I think we're in for a pretty rough ride for the next 2 months.
The impact being felt in Canada and around the world as the conflict in the Middle East continues to constrain global oil shipments. Overnight, Brent crude oil to be delivered in June briefly surged past $126 a barrel before pulling back towards $114. Here at home, experts warning of a spike in prices at around 179.9 to 186.9 cents per liter at most stations, with concerns the cost could hit $2 a liter in the next 10 days.
I think $2 a liter is a distinct possibility and maybe a distinct probability, because there's no controlling the situation in the Strait of Hormuz, and that's the center of the problem, because we're losing supply. We're losing production. We're losing supply of refined product. That's gasoline, diesel, and jet fuel.
The jump also comes despite the recent suspension of the federal excise tax on gasoline. But while the measure was meant to ease pressure on the pockets of Canadians, it didn't last long.
I don't think the politicians can do anything about it. You can try and lower taxes. We've already tried that. That didn't work at the federal level. If you're going to start looking at the provincial level, then who's going to determine that? Because trying to get the provinces to agree on reducing road taxes is like trying to herd cats.
Meanwhile, back in the city, those who commute say the increase is no longer surprising, but continues to be tough on their daily routine.
It doesn't really shock me at this point, because it's just been such a roller coaster.
So I drive into work every day. It's a choice that I've decided to make. I don't know that I'll necessarily change it, but definitely it makes you, think about like driving, on road trips, or do you need to make that extra trip, to the mall or whatever store? You might not do it.
So experts say that there really is no timeline on when these prices could potentially go down. It's all dependent on the situation in the Middle East. Alessandra Carnero, City News, Toronto.
The dramatic increase in the price of gas is adding to the worry Canadians have about the cost of living and the state of the economy. That is showing up in the results of a new poll from City News and Pulse Insights, suggesting 2/3 of Canadians think the economy is on the wrong track. City News' Karen Seolin has more.
Do keep in mind that this poll was conducted before the country got a look at the Carney government's latest fiscal update. However, it does suggest that affordability remains a top-of-mind concern for many Canadians. So it shows that 67% of Canadians don't feel like the economy is on the right track. And among those who are most likely to feel that way include younger and middle-aged Canadians. Now, the outlook for economic improvement in the short term is also very bleak. Just 3 in 10 believe the national or their local economy will improve in the next couple of months. Now, pollster John Wright says the reduced deficit that was outlined in this week's spring economic update is just not enough to make a difference in the lives of people. Have a listen.
The attitude of Canadians is at a contrary level to where the government presented its economic statement the other day. I mean, it was upbeat about, we're doing well and the economy is moving forward and we're having some modest growth. And it's got a smaller deficit, but that doesn't help Canadians when they're looking at high gas costs at the pump, what they're spending now at the grocery store.
Now, the Carney government appears to be under no illusions about the challenges it now faces, squaring the big picture impact of its economic agenda with the affordability concerns of everyday Canadians. I will point out that there is an entire section in the spring economic update, which is nearly 200 pages, titled "Why Canadians Still Feel Their Budgets Are Strained and What the Government is Doing About It." That is a section of the update in which the government touts its rebranded GST rebate as well as the National School Food Program as ways to help with household budgets.
The federal government's suspension of the federal excise tax on both gasoline and diesel came into effect April 20th. It is supposed to remain in place until Labor Day. Among the highest gas prices in the country, always in the far north. For example, Norman, Wells, Northwest Territories. The price of gas at the local Esso station there, $2.91 a liter. I'm Rob Snow. This is News Radio.
Now you know with Rob Snow continues on News Radio.
He's our expert in communications, branding, and leadership. We're going to talk a lot about that today with Barry McLoughlin, the president of TLC, Transformational Leadership Consultants, offices in Ottawa and Washington. Barry teaches at the University of Ottawa's Professional Development Institute and at Cape Breton University's Shannon School of Business. You can follow Barry on a Substack. You can listen to his podcast, and he's with us every Friday. It's great to hear from you.
Thank you, Rob. It's not Friday anymore without you. It's just so part of the wonderful day.
That's great to hear. Well, I want to start with something from the corporate world this week with you, Barry, given your experience as a management consultant. Let's talk about Apple.
Hello, I'm a Mac. And I'm a PC. Gesundheit, you okay?
No, I'm not okay. I have that virus that's going around.
Oh, yeah.
In fact, you better stay back. This one's a doozy.
That's okay, I'll be fine.
No, do not be a hero. Last year, there were 114,000 known viruses for PCs.
PCs, not Macs. So, you just grab this one.
I think I got a crash.
Hey, if you feel like that'll help, good.
Just a little retro Mac ad for you, Barry. It's only 20 years old, but still a pretty good ad. Right. Big changes are coming to Apple in the executive suite. Tim Cook is stepping down as the CEO of Apple. Of course, took over from one of the most admired CEOs ever, Steve Jobs. What do you think of the job that Tim Cook has done as CEO of Apple?
Well, it's amazing. I mean, the valuation alone has gone from a few hundred million to mega billions of dollars. I don't even know the exact numbers, like huge. Number one on most stock markets over time. And just done a phenomenal job of shaping the brand, creating the brand, along with Steve Wozniak, but creating the brand and then managing it and putting in place under Tim Cook a series of wonderful, groundbreaking products, the Apple Watch and all the, the various kind of tools that it made them always market leading. And that's number one thing that Tim understood what he got. A lot of people inherit and then blow it all up. He understood, wait a second, this is magic here, and I have to manage magic well. And they've done that. From the earliest days of the Mac Expos, it was always an event, the new product line, the Mac 2 and everything. I remember all this. And in the end, what have we got here? People like me that pay about a 1/3 higher price point for all their products compared to the competitors. They're not necessarily any better, but they're sleek, they're lean, they're cool, they're market leading, they're beautiful, and you have a relationship with that, almost with that product. Vision, Tim Cook has managed so well.
Yeah, my wife will not buy anything else. She has the Apple Watch, she has the AirPods, she has the iPod, she has the iPhone. But you think about this. After taking over from Steve Jobs, the company was then worth $350 billion. It's worth $4 trillion now, Barry. $4 trillion.
There you go.
He does face some criticism for Apple being a laggard in AI, that it's somehow behind the curve on AI. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that.
Well, you can all jump in first and then have really nothing that's market, leading in it. In order to protect their brand, they can't look like, yesterday's product. So if they don't have a groundbreaking, great, innovative, easy to use, accessible, if they don't have a great tool or suite of tools, you're better off to hold and get it right. Because if it's get it first versus get it right, they really do know we got to get it right. And they had some disasters. The Apple III was a disaster, according to Wozniak. We actually had a chance to meet Steve Wozniak when he came to Ottawa. Nice chat with him. By the way, he only has the greatest things to say about Steve Jobs, even though there was some, he was the engineer behind it all, and Jobs got a lot of the credibility. But really, he was a marketing guru. And he understood, the brand of Apple, the brand promise. What's the promise to the customer? That's your question. What is it? And it's, it's quality, it's innovative. It has all those elements that when you walk in an Apple store, wow, you have that anticipation of it. You don't have for most of the competitors.
Yeah, and such brand loyalty. Right? There are people who will not buy anything else. They will only buy Apple gear. And you're one of them. There you go. Yeah. Okay, branding, as I mentioned, it's kind of a focus for us. We're going to talk when we come back about one of the most valuable sports brands in the country. When we come back, Olay, Olay, Olay. This is News Radio.
Now you know with Rob Snow continues on News Radio.
With Barry McLoughlin, President TLC Transformational Leadership Consultants. Branding, as I said, our theme today. The Montreal Canadiens, Barry, are the only Canadian team left in the NHL playoffs. I looked at Forbes today, and I asked Forbes, how much are the Montreal Canadiens worth? $3.5 billion US, Barry, US. So, about $4.7 billion Canadian. When you think about it, the Montreal Canadiens are probably one of the most valuable brands in the country. The Habs. Okay. Yep. What is it that makes it such a great brand? What is this club doing right?
Great question, because they had kind of they were in third place at the end of the regular season behind Tampa Bay. Now they're leading 3-2. They're a championship team. They come to the fore in playoffs. They move up, not get crushed down by certain teams. I'm thinking about that you can get wiped out in the first round. Whereas with Montreal, it would be so exceptional. Although they had a season that finally it's the best in 10 years. So when people get behind them, the province gets behind them, and now the nation is behind them. They were always the representative of Quebec for many, many years before the Nordiques and so on. When I was a kid in Cold Lake, Alberta, my hero was Boom Boom Jeffrey 50 goals in a season. It was unbelievable. They have Rocket Richard. They go way back in terms of Yvon Cournoyer. They have players that stand the test of time in history, and they mean so much on an emotional. They're an emotional team. They connect emotionally with their audiences, and I believe this is part of their secret. And they're so proud of their history. And when people go in there, it's I've only been to one game in person years ago, but it's like you're walking into a championship arena, and I think they've mastered that so well, and they realize that is a part of the storied brand. Look at the movies, the stories mentioning Montreal, the poems and all songs. It's all
documentaries.
Part of it.
I think part of it, Barry, if I could, I think part of it is the consistency of the brand. You see. Other sports teams, they change uniforms. They bring in third uniforms, this kind of stuff, to sell the merch, right?
Yeah.
With the Montreal Canadiens, same uniforms, same colors, same logo. Like it's, they don't deviate from their club's legacy, I would say. I think
you're
that's,
right. They're very proud of that. And it could be seen as a clown that's been around forever. Yeah, that's part of the beauty of it. I got a neighbor down the street here hanging out his window is Montreal Canadiens, go Habs, go. I mean, people are proud of their connection to it, and it's lifelong. It goes past through generations. Ottawa has always had an interesting relationship. We were a lot of Montreal fans in Ottawa before the Senators came in, and we still prefer them over Toronto to a great extent because that's an emotional connection, that historical kind of brand of theirs. And I think they're not an arrogant team. They're a confident team, but they don't cross the line into arrogance. And I think that's all part of, they understand the culture they're in. And it's so great to be part of it. And I'm glad we at least have one team moving forward here with real hope.
It's interesting, though, that you mentioned, so important in the province of Quebec. Like, for example, if you go to the Montreal Gazette website today, which they've redesigned, where it says Montreal Gazette at the top, it's in the Canadiens' colors. Like it's in, so the paper is behind it. Okay.
Yeah.
Hydro-Quebec in its logo is a Q with a lightning bolt through it. That's it. The well-known Hydro-Quebec logo.
Oh yeah.
They've taken away the lightning bolt because they're playing the Tampa Bay Lightning. They've just put other what I would say, well-known brands in Quebec, like the Gazette, which has been around before Confederation, Hydro-Quebec, which is, the big electricity utility here. They embrace their hockey team too. It's a whole of province thing.
And especially now with our Canada-U.S. relations, they're Canada's team now, and we mean it. So the emotion is definitely there right across the country.
Great to hear from you. Enjoy the weekend, Barry. Thank you. Speak soon.
Will do.
Bye-bye.
Thanks,
I can't quite say go Habs go, but thank you. Be right back. Tom Korski is going to join us. We have so much to talk about with Tom Korski this week from Blacklock's Reporter. This is News Radio.
There is no question Rob won't get answered.
Now you know with Rob Snow continues
on News Radio.
He's been minding Ottawa's business all week long. Tom Korski is back with us, the managing editor at Blacklock's Reporter. Welcome back. Do we have Tom Korski on the line? Is Tom with us?
Here I am, Rob. I was
there
here the whole time. Oh,
that's okay. Sorry. Things happen. Well, Tom, another adventurous week in your part of the world. I would like to kind of pick up where we left off last week, where we picked up from the week before. Commons committees. So they've been reconstituted, and now the Liberals have the majority on the committees. It sure didn't take them long to take things behind closed doors when it comes to committee meetings. What's been going on?
No, approximately 20 minutes. Very true on multiple committees. Of course, when you have the votes, you can do whatever you like. Seriously. And the cabinet has set out to do that. The whole point, of course, is to quash real-time investigations, which committees in a minority parliament can do and really wreak havoc, and have done so for the last 7 years. And now we see more and more committees are shutting down real-time investigations or moving them in camera, that is behind closed doors, where no person in that room may disclose what occurred under threat of severe sanctions. So it really is a gag order whenever they go in camera.
Okay. I'm really interested in what happened this week at the Health Committee. What do you know about the opposition's attempts to find out information about this thing called Prescribe IT or Prescribe It? What do you know about that?
This was one of those programs that sounded really good until you started to look at the contracts. The whole idea was that somehow they concluded that it was very inefficient and costly and embarrassing that prescriptions, for instance, and communications between doctors' offices and pharmacists was by fax. And so they were going to streamline that using software. It always involves consultants. It always involves third parties. And the taxpayer, who's, God bless them, they were going to fund it to about $300 million. The contract is abruptly canceled by the Government of Canada. And MPs have been curious to know why. Where did the money go? How do you spend $300 million on what appears to be a very straightforward software fix? And who knew what when? The difficulty is, unlike previous suspicious shenanigans like ArriveCan, there were whistleblowers in that case. These are people very, very high ethics, and whether it's naivete or bravery, they'll put their business on the line to blow the whistle. No one has done that in the case of Prescribe IT. And so MPs really don't know what happened when $300 million went out and not too much came back.
Well, let alone that, also the compensation for some of the people at the top here. The CEO is now gone. He has been let go by the board, Michael Green. The Globe reported this week that this person's total compensation was $900,000. $900,000. My gosh, including a bonus of more than $200,000. 5 other senior executives, all earning between $270,000 and $342,000, and 24 vice presidents, Tom, all earning between 24 vice presidents. I work for a big company. I don't know if our company has 24 vice presidents, for crying out loud. 24 vice presidents.
I don't think Google has 24 vice presidents, exactly. but anytime
all
there's
earning, sorry, Tom, all earning between $207,000 and $340,000 a year, all collecting bonuses in the tens of thousands of dollars a year. I would ask this if I was allowed to ask it, if the Liberals would let me ask it. Why are these people getting bonuses? Like, what have they done? This thing has been shut down after $300 million was spent. What in the name of all that is holy warrants a $200,000 bonus for the top executive and bonuses for everyone else between $30,000 and in excess of $60,000 a year? For what? A job well done? For a job well done?
No, absolutely. But they do this because they can. We see routinely through federal agencies, let alone quote unquote arm's length agencies like this one, where bonuses are seen as an entitlement. Anytime you see expenditure of public funds, forgive my plain language, without rigorous real-time scrutiny by Parliament, just wait for the rip-offs. The iron law is, if there's no scrutiny, the mice will play. That's the way it works. Rob, your problem is you're in the private sector. You have to remember, especially federal appointees and high-level agencies, there is a new bale of money that lands on the loading dock the start of every budget year. Money has no value. So they compare themselves to the private sector, where you perform or get fired or get a bonus. They forgot the consequences part. It's all gravy. The books could be written. This is an attitude, and it will never change. There's only one thing you can do: make it small, but no one listens.
Okay, we'll talk when we come back about another technology program that seems to have gone off the rails and causing problems at the border with cross-border trucking. It's called e-manifest. Something Blacklock's reporter has been writing about, according to my archive here, at least since 2018. Starting to hit some of the other media outlets now. 8 years later. This is News Radio.
You have questions
Now You Know with Rob Snow has the answers.
on News Radio.
Back with Tom Korski, the managing editor of Blacklock's Reporter. This is in one of the papers today, Tom. Let me read a little bit here. Persistent and unexplained problems with a critical federal electronic system have created widespread delays for imports into Canada, costing trucking companies millions of dollars a day. Billions of dollars a day as they wait for clearance to bring goods into the country. This is from Blacklock's Reporter, dated April 17th, 2018, almost 8 years ago. A computer error in a cross-border customs database has prompted a federal lawsuit. A British Columbia trucking company says it was unfairly fined thousands of dollars over an electronic glitch at the Canada Border Services Agency under the Advanced Commercial Information Program called e-Manifest. Shippers are to notify border agents of cargo before they arrive at a crossing. Electronic identification of cargoes was intended to speed processing compared to manual reviews of paper cargo manifests. What is e-Manifest?
This is gold. They should teach this in high school. This is gold. E-Manifest was supposed to replace paper logs used by long-haul truck drivers, manifests, schedules. It was all going to be electronic. How great is that? It's going to be faster and it's going to be cheaper. They started it as a pilot project 15 years ago on a promise of $35 million a year in savings. Well, what could possibly go wrong? First thing is it went twice over budget. Supposed to cost one-time cost of $400 million. Instead, it cost over $800 million. No one really knows why, including the auditors. And then they discovered border agents were just receiving. It turns out there's a lot of commercial truck traffic, Rob. Really, millions of pounds of cargo every day, and they were flooded with these electronic log reports from trucking companies, which led to staff being overwhelmed. So you might say, now, wait a minute. You mean they used paper logs from 1925, and it worked pretty well? Of course, there were delays from time to time. They've now spent about $1 billion. They've aggravated commercial shipments. They've cost private companies billions more, as you point out, and the system doesn't even work the way it's supposed to do. This is classic. I'm serious. This should be a mandatory class in high school.
Yeah. And now the shipping companies are saying, can we go back to the old way? Like, can we just abandon this altogether? And
how many times have you
to
heard that, Rob? Honestly, exactly.
Yeah, sure. We heard the same thing with Phoenix.
Exactly.
The Phoenix pay system. Yeah. Okay. So the big announcement in Ottawa this week was the spring economic update. What stood out for you from the spring economic update?
How thin it was. I don't want to use rough language. I think the finance department really blew it. I think this was really their one chance to break from the past, and they didn't do it. They won't stop the spending. Everyone has heard the deficit figures. You're looking at a structural deficit about $50 to $60 billion a year in perpetuity. They're going to borrow another approximately a third of $1 trillion over the next 5 years. I mean, this is just berserk. Even the new budget officer, this is the Liberals' pick, the new budget officer says, let's see, per capita debt, every man, woman, and child in our nation, you are now up for about $34,000. Pretty soon it's going to be $38,000. Your share of debt interest headed for $80 billion a year. These are unprecedented figures, Rob. Your share, every man, woman, and child in our country, is going to be over $1,900 every year from here till kingdom come. I think they really blew it.
That $1,900 a year figure is not our share of the debt. It's our share of the interest on the debt. Is that right?
Yes, you've achieved nothing by paying the $1,900. You will get nothing for that.
Okay.
Yes.
Right. Would you like to make the minimum payment possible? Yes, please. Thank you very much. Okay. So we know that the government is spending a lot of money to support the news business. But what news outlet gets the most outside of the CBC, okay, from the aid packages for the news business? What news outlet gets the most money from the
Well,
government?
there's a program. There's a program called Local Journalism Initiative. It's not widely known. It pays a 100% payroll rebate. It pays 100% of salary for an employee, up to $60,000 a year. Find a small business, farm, or ranch in this country who couldn't use a free employee funded by the government of Canada. Free, 100% free. And under this program, there is a climate news site called the National Observer. In 5 years, they got free salaries for 23 employees. That it was a bonus of equivalent to more than 1.3 million, and this was in addition to six-figure grants they've received under separate programs. Now, interestingly, the CEO of the National Observer is on the judging panel that decides who gets a grant. Now, the CEO has said,
Oh, really?
Of course,
Really?
I recused
Really?
myself 23. Yes.
Holy cow.
I recused myself, Rob, 23 times, while my company was getting 23 free employees in 5 years. The largesse here, that's in addition to, there's separate grants. Another program's called Canada Periodical Fund, National Observer, 5 years, $233,000. Federal clipping contracts, $435,000. Rob, this is over $2 million in taxpayers' aid in 5 years. You tell that to a farmer, rancher, someone in small business, they are incredulous that these kind of hidden payments are going out.
Okay. Thank you very much, Tom. Enjoy the weekend. We'll speak to you next week.
Thank you, Rob. You bet.
Yeah, that's Tom Korski, the managing editor at Blacklock's Reporter, minding Ottawa's business. And be happy he is. I'm Rob Snow. This is News Radio.
No question goes unasked or unanswered.
Now you know with Rob Snow returns on News Radio.
Watching oil prices today all over the place. The WTI futures contract actually traded below $100 US a barrel for a while today. The low on the day about 99.30 US. It's traded as high as 106.50 and change. And it's around $102 US a barrel right now. Again, that's WTI. Brent is at 108 US a barrel right now. With gas prices, once again, one of the big news stories of the week. Calgary kind of got the party started earlier in the week. Serious spike in gas prices across Alberta. More than 20 cents a liter in some places, like overnight. And the average gas price in Calgary today, according to 660 News Radio in Calgary, 187.5. Just a week ago, gas in Calgary was 23 cents lower than that. And a year ago, gasoline in Calgary was going for $1.25. Today, 187. In many parts of the country, gas prices are higher than that. Remember, Alberta doesn't have a provincial sales tax, so you save a few pennies. Gas prices shot up again in Nova Scotia, 191.7. Across eastern and southern Ontario, it's about $1.90, just shy of that in some places. In Vancouver, my gosh, I don't even know what you say. It's just outrageous. It really is outrageous. The average gas price, $2.21 a liter. $2.21 a liter for regular. Diesel, $2.65 a liter. Think of what that does to the economy. And that's with the 10 cent a liter savings because of the suspension of the federal excise tax that's supposed to be in place until Labor Day. In the National Hockey League playoffs, a few more first-round series have been settled. That is it for this season for the Edmonton Oilers. The third time will not be the charm for them. After going to the Stanley Cup Finals 2 years in a row, the Oilers eliminated last night. 5-2 the final to the Anaheim Ducks, who take the series 4-2. Also moving on, Minnesota. The Wild finishing off the Dallas Stars in 6 games. Final score last night, also 5-2. 3 games tonight, the Habs. The Habs, now the lone Canadian team in the playoffs. They're going to try and take out the Tampa Bay Lightning tonight. The game is at the Bell Center in Montreal. It'll be rocking. That's on Sportsnet, 7 o'clock Eastern. The Bruins will try to force a Game 7 against the Sabres tonight. That's in Boston. Boston trailing there 3-2. And in Utah, the Mammoth hosts the Vegas Golden Knights. The Mammoth down 3-2. The Toronto Blue Jays weren't very good yesterday. Gosh, that was hard to watch. Series opener against the Minnesota Twins. Jays lose 7-1 Dalton Varsho's solo home run was all the offense that the Jays could muster. Those two teams back at it again tonight, 8 o'clock Eastern time for Jays fans. Jays going with lefty Patrick Corbin on the mound. That is also on Sportsnet, Sportsnet Plus, and all across the Blue Jays radio network. Rogers owns the Toronto Blue Jays. Rogers also owns this radio station. And if you're ever looking for a podcast of our show, now you know with Rob Snow, a great new mobile app that will help you hear our show when you want to. Listen live, listen to the podcast. It's the Seeker app. That's Seeker, spelled Seekr, with all kinds of exclusive audio that you won't hear anywhere else. News, music, and sports. You can download Seeker for iOS or Android. That's Seeker, spelled Seekr. And now you know with Rob Snow is on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. Talkback is coming up right after the news, and it's the Friday free-for-all. Talkback today. So wide open on topics. You can take the lead. You can start the conversation, and you can call us right now. 1-833-668-2577. All of our phone lines are open. Curtis is ready to take your call, and we can get right into the discussion right after the latest breaking news on News Radio.
It's time to talk back.
On Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Call now.
And have your say.
1-833-668-2577.
Welcome to Talkback. It's 2 hours of debate and discussion on the big issues of the day. And today's the Friday free-for-all. We don't come up with the topics on Fridays. We prefer that you take the lead. We always have a few topics ready to go, but we want to know what's on your mind. So what's on your mind? What do you want to talk about? If you want to talk about something that's been in the news, there's always news. There was lots of news this week, lots of news today. If you want to talk about something you think should be in the news, feel free to raise it here. Whatever it happens to be. Okay, it can be serious, it can be not so serious. We have a phone line for you. And all of our phone lines are open right now. Again, our number to call, 1-833-668-2577. That's 1-833-668-2577. And as always, if you've never called before, please just mention that to us, and we'll make your call a priority. 1-833-668-2577. I mean, the price of gas. The price of gas, my gosh. For my money, that's the biggest story in the country right now is the price of gas. Gosh almighty. No matter where you look, it's like up, up, up and away. More than $1.90 in Nova Scotia. It's about $1.90 or so in this part of the country. Across southern Ontario, it's close to $1.90 or so. And they're saying $2 is on the way. In Calgary this week, I mean, I don't know what happened with the price of gas in Calgary this week. It shot up by more than 20 cents a liter overnight. And I mean, Calgary now has gas prices that are rivaling gas prices in other parts of the country, which is amazing because Alberta doesn't have a PST, a provincial sales tax. Love your thoughts on the price of gas. I mean, at these levels, everyone, with the price of gas at a 4-year high, what kinds of decisions are you making about the household finances? What kinds of decisions are you making in your everyday lives? Have you changed your routine at all? Are you driving less? Are you opting to use public transit if you have access to public transit? Are you considering a more fuel-efficient vehicle or even an EV? Are you seriously thinking about EVs or hybrids? Are you cutting back on other areas of household spending? Or are you doing nothing at all other than just kind of eating it because there's not much you can do about it? Price of gas. How much more is it costing you these days, say? I'd love to just get an idea from some people, say in the run of a week or the run of every 2 weeks or whatever. Is it an extra $20? Is it an extra $50? Is it $100 or more? Is it more than $100 in extra costs? I mean, like millions of Canadians need a vehicle to make a living. People who spend all day on the road. I think about the taxi drivers. I think about the Uber drivers and the gig workers, the skip the dishes delivery people. I think about the working poor. I mean, these higher gas prices are hard on a lot of people. Is the government doing enough? Is the government doing enough to lessen the blow? The federal government suspended the federal excise tax. It's temporary, they say, only until Labor Day. I mean, very little action from provincial governments. In Alberta, you don't pay a PST. You get a little break there, but you still have a provincial gas tax of 13 cents a liter. Premier Smith has not made any moves on that. In Nova Scotia, the provincial fuel tax is 15.5 cents a liter. And then you have 14 cents of HST, or 14% HST, pardon me, which applies, of course, to the total pump price. So it's all tax on tax on tax on tax. Nothing from Premier Houston. At least in Ontario, Doug Ford's government lowered Ontario's gas taxes by 5 cents a liter. It was supposed to be a temporary thing. He's extended it a few times. But, I mean, at the provincial level, they haven't done a lot of heavy lifting, these premiers, to help you out with the gas prices. What should they be doing? Should they be doing anything? Gas prices, what are you doing? Are you doing anything at all to deal with the price of gas? 1-833-668-2577, 1-833-668-2577. Let's get things going here. Right off the top, Scott is in Rockwood, Ontario. Hello, Scott. Hello, Scott. Okay, so we've lost our first two callers. Fabulous start to the Friday. Let's go to Rick in Dartmouth up first then. Rick in Dartmouth.
Hey, Rob, look.
Hey.
In terms of the gas thing, okay, people would just be, an ordinary thing would be whatever the actual price goes up to drive that percentage less. So if you're somebody who just drives for pleasure or running around town, there are ways. We went through this in the 70s. So there were several ways. Lowering your speed is another way. Don't accelerate quickly from stop to go. That makes a huge difference. Okay?
Yeah, I understand that. But I mean, there are people, you recognize there are people that have no option, right, Rick?
Absolutely.
Like they can do these, they can do, if you're in Lunenburg, you're not taking the Lunenburg public transit to get to Halifax, right?
No, look. Actually, it was on Global Television National talking about that very thing, just man on the street kind of thing. They called me. But anyway, that's not my topic today. This is something that I've given a lot of thought, although I don't have any hard data to back it up. But anecdotally speaking, I think that the large lottery winnings over the past 40 years, there might be a case for damage to the overall economy. And the reason I say that is because if you won $60 or $70 million, I mean, at what point are you going to stop spending it and walk into a financial advisor and have it go into some kind of, fund, okay, to be managed by somebody else, okay? So what my premise is that money gets sucked out of the economy. And some of it goes back in different ways. I'm sure of that. But the actual just general economy where, you're buying gas with, all of the things that you buy, it kind of gets sucked out. And imagine that process going on, a couple of times a month for 30 or 40 years. So I don't know if I have a case, okay? I'd just like somebody somewhere to give it consideration, and I know there are lots of quick comebacks, and I know that it would really peeve people off if there were no big lotteries to hope for. So I understand that, but anyway, just
so the Lotto Max tonight. So the Lotto Max tonight is $60 million. The grand prize is $60 million. You think if somebody wins $60 million, they should pay a tax on it?
No. I think the lottos should be reduced in size.
I see.
Really,
okay.
That would be the only solution.
Well, Rick, I mean, $60 million doesn't go as far as it used to. Look at the price of gas. Friday, free for all talkback. Thank you, Rick. Have a good weekend. I'm Rob Snow. Wide open on topics and wide open on the phone lines. Love to hear from you today and help us get into the weekend. This is News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
It's a Friday free-for-all Talkback. You pick a topic, we'll roll with it. Let's go with Nino in Calgary. Nino.
Good afternoon. Good morning, Rob. How are you?
I'm very good, Nino. Thank you. Yeah.
Good.
Good to hear from you.
Just
What's
a
on your
couple
mind?
things. Well, a couple of things. One, this gas rate rip-off we're having now. So when the gas stations fill their massive tanks underground, at what rate do they pay it at? And if they got it filled last night, then all of a sudden this morning it jumps up 20 cents a liter. Like, who's raping us here?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I was thinking that as well, in Calgary, to your point, in Calgary, what made the gas that was in the tank underground all of a sudden 20 cents a liter more expensive? I don't know. I have no idea. Yeah.
Exactly. It wasn't that long ago I went and I filled up at a service station. Sooner finished filling up, went inside, and the guy said, "Oh, you're lucky." I said, "Well, why? Did I win to $6.49 or something?" Oh, he said, "Look at the price of gas. It went up 10 cents just as I put the nozzle back." Like, really? Like, it's just ludicrous what we're paying and how these service stations or whoever it is rip us off. That's one.
Okay.
The second
You
thing
think the service stations? You think the service stations are ripping you off? Okay, fair enough.
Somebody is. Someone is ripping us off. Those tanks were filled prior, a day or two before that gas went up last night.
Okay.
So somebody paid something for the gas at one rate, and then we get it at a different rate, if you don't understand what I'm trying to say.
I do, yes. Yeah.
The other thing is, with this Liberal government, I found it really convenient. The Liberal government had a minority government. Then, however they did it, sweet talk, did whatever, they had floor crossers, which I'll never understand on how that's even allowed in politics. Nobody voted these floor crossers as Liberals. They were voted as Conservatives. Did they go to their constituency and say, "I am crossing the floor. Are you okay with that?" No. They just went ahead and did it, and there's no repercussion, which I find really it just blows me away. Now, how convenient. The Liberal government all of a sudden gets a majority government right on the money after a year, and we have all of a sudden nobody can vote against what they say. This wealth fund thing that they got, that we have to borrow all these billions of dollars and all this other stuff. How on earth can any Canadian make a living? Where do we get extra money to put into this fund? Like, even to make that statement, Carney was out to lunch, just totally out to lunch. And why on God's earth would anybody approve to privatize airports to Brookfield or whoever? Why? Do you think it's going to help?
They're worth a lot of money. They're worth a lot of money. There's a column in the Globe and Mail from one of the finance columnists who says all of these Canadian airports, there are 23 of them owned by the federal government. They're probably worth $100 billion. You could sell off stakes in the airports or sign long-term leases with private investors. I mean, $100 billion, do a lot of good with $100 billion, right?
Yes, $100 billion guaranteed. Liberal government puts it into their slush fund. They don't pay the debt off. No, why would you do that? Let's just create more debt and blow the $100 million. Like, Rob, really?
Yeah,
we are in a world of hurt.
Okay, let me ask you this, though. We talked a little bit about this yesterday. Who do you think would run the airport better, the government or a private company?
I think a private company would run it better than because we all know this. Anything that the government doesn't matter. Provincial, municipalities, federal, anything they touch, it goes all to crap after. I mean, I just look in Calgary here on how the city of Calgary runs their stuff. Like, I'm in construction. I take 2 guys to go do a job that the city will send 10 guys.
Sure.
Figure it out.
Sure. Yeah, I know. There's that famous, picture of city workers looking at a pothole. 10 guys in hard hats standing around with shovels in their hands. I hear you. Thank you. 1-833-668-2577. 1-833-668-2577. Lots of time to take your call today and talk about anything because it's Friday. That's how we roll. This is News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Yeah, Friday Free For All Talkback. Ali in Calgary again. Hello, Ali.
Hi.
Hi there. What do you want to talk about?
I have something that I can't, that I haven't heard anybody else talk about. And the fact is that all of our Canadian media is being suppressed, and we don't get the full story of everything that's going on.
Oh,
when you look at some of the stuff. Well, okay, for example, they're talking about the pipelines. I'm from Calgary, so it isn't important. But, talking about the pipelines, the government built the pipelines in the last 10 years, 2 very good lines that with an LNG plus the one going through the twin one that went through to Vancouver. But a lot of this stuff isn't being looked at in the media. So you get a snippet. I used to be very, very I always used to listen to the CBC because I always felt that they were truthful. They checked their work and everything. But there's a lot of stuff that they're not talking about.
So what do you think when it comes to pipelines? What do you think the media is missing?
They're missing the fact that the pipelines are not just they're there. We're getting money from them, and nobody's talking about that. All of the stuff that the government's doing, they're doing stuff to make the country more sustainable financially. So they don't talk about, they talk about the spending, but they don't talk about what the earnings are going to be to offset it. Everybody that I've listened to your show for months and months now, and I get a lot of information from what I hear online, as opposed to the local or the national media. Like they break things down and show people what's really going on. Like I really like Bill Kelly podcast, Klaus Kellerman's broadcast.
Sure. I mean, it's great if you have, if you have 60 minutes to set aside and, pick apart one story for 60 minutes. I get that. That's a luxury that I don't have. I get to talk to you for 2 minutes, right? So,
right. But I'm just saying that I think
for example, with
the media. The media is not doing their job, in my opinion. That's
okay. All. I'm still confused about where you think we're getting the pipeline story wrong. And I'm not being obtuse here.
No, I'm just saying that I keep hearing all these clippets about the government's not building pipelines. They built them. They're working on other ones to go to the north.
They built one.
I don't know why.
Trans Mountain, right? They built the Trans Mountain, right? Expansion.
Yes.
Right.
And
there was a private company. Pardon me, ma'am. There was a private company that was going to build that, right? Kinder Morgan was going to build that.
But
right?
Did you hear how that's going to happen? Like, that's all about, okay, everybody's got conspiracy. I don't think it's conspiracy.
But it's not a conspiracy. It's just a company was like, there's no grand conspiracy what happened with Kinder Morgan. I covered that when it happened. I was in the news when that happened. I was around. I've been around a long time. Seen a lot of stuff.
No, I understand that.
Okay?
I understand that.
Kinder Morgan just got fed up and said, we're not putting our shareholders' money at risk in this country that clearly doesn't want to build pipelines. and is on the side of protesters. And the government nationalized the project. It cost roughly what? 4 times more than it would have cost a private sector proponent to build that. It was years behind schedule. And TransCanada Pipelines at the time, TC Energy was going to build Energy East, spent $1 billion and canceled that too.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Just to the previous caller's point on pipelines, I just happened to notice this today. On this day, May Day, May 1st, 1950, just a few years after the Leduc oil discovery in Alberta, large-scale construction started on what was called the IPL, Interprovincial Pipeline, running from Edmonton to Lake Superior to the Superior Terminal in Superior, Wisconsin. So they did the initial work in the winter of 49-50, and then large-scale construction started on this day, May 1st, 1950, and the first barrels arrived in Superior, Wisconsin on December 5th of 1950, of that same year. 1,600 kilometers of pipeline. They built it end-to-end in 217 days. Now you hear the Prime Minister, well, we're going to build things at a pace never before seen in Canadian history. Oh, okay. But build a pipeline, 1,600 kilometers of pipeline in 217 days. Come on. How long would a project like that take? You couldn't even fill out the paperwork for the application in 217 days. The same sort of project these days, gosh, who knows? A decade? Maybe? If it ever gets built at all. 1-833-668. Imagine that 1,600 kilometers of pipeline, 217 days. My gosh. How times have changed, right? How times have changed in 76 years. Kent is in Calgary. Hello, Kent.
Hey, Rob. How's it going?
Yeah, very good, Kent. Thank you. Yeah. What do you want to talk about?
It's my second call. I heard myself after the first time. I was like, I sounded so nervous, so I'll try not to sound nervous today. If I could quickly just, that lady that was just calling in, who mentioned how we never talk about the profits from oil, she's from Calgary, so am I. Our whole provincial government's budget comes off of the profit of oil. We talk about the profits from oil like all the time in Alberta. So that, I just felt I wanted to address that. And one caller before, talking about the floor crossers, I encourage him to go look up Bill 603, because that was a piece of government that was going to make floor crossers have to be independents until they had a by-election in their riding. And Pierre Poilievre back then voted against that, and a lot of conservatives who have changed their tune. And my point with that is, when conservatives were benefiting from floor crossing, it was a thing of integrity, and like they voted against a bill that would make them be independent. And so we got to just like look at the big picture. And I just wanted to say, like with my call, I see myself as an independent. It's not because I haven't picked a side. It's because on like major issues, whether it be like abortion, I know that everyone I know, whether they're liberal or conservative or whatever, all tend to think an issue like that, and they have like the same views on it. Like it's, you know, it should be up to the mother. If like the mother's life is in danger, if like the baby's life.
I don't want to get in. I don't want to get into that. I don't want to get into that. Right. Okay.
I'm not trying to get into the details, but my point was on an issue like that, though, where it's so far left and right in the politics of it. If you look at the people in the community, like 80% of the people, no matter what, have the same beliefs. And that's what I was just trying to focus on. Really,
right. So, yeah, you would say you're a moderate. You're a moderate, right? You're a moderate.
Yeah, and I try to look, you know, so like my most recent thing was like I saw Pierre Poilievre on, I think it's called 1 to 1. I don't watch it a lot, but he was being interviewed, and they asked him about his tax cuts. And I know politicians can, you know, let's spin things is the word they use. But like you've mentioned on your show before, Rob, like how with tax cuts in economics, eventually it has negative there's like negative ends to it if you cut them for too long or too much. And he was asked that by this female, and I'm sorry I don't know her name who does one-to-one, but he responded to her like, where did you hear that? Like, that's the most ridiculous thing. Like, and all the people I've ever talked to, you think that cutting taxes could have a negative effect on the economy somehow? And I'm watching him going like, okay, this man who wants to be the prime minister of our country doesn't understand the most basic thing about like economics.
Okay.
And
I'm not sure that I've ever said that cutting taxes would have a negative impact on the economy. I mean, it would maybe rob the government of some money, but
you had a bit of a conversation once that touched on it. From what I understand, the risk of cutting taxes is when it's gone for too long, like for 6 months, might not be a bad thing, put some money in the people's pockets. You go longer though, whatever government you are, like that money was paying for something. Usually the government does take on a little more debt when it cuts taxes. And something like this.
Yeah. Well, we may have been debating if you're going to cut taxes. Economists would say there are better taxes to cut than others.
Yeah. And the thing is,
for example, they would sales, say the sales tax, like the GST, for example, they would prefer people cut income taxes or lower corporate taxes. Maybe that was the debate that we were having. I thank you for your call, though, Kent. We're going to have to run. We'll stop here. It's the Friday free-for-all Talkback. I'm Rob Snow. You never know where the conversation is going to go. We just kind of roll with it on Friday and see where it takes us. Consider it adventures in open line talk radio. You can join the adventure. You can take us on a brand new adventure. 1-833-668-2577. It's News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Up next on the Friday Free-for-All Talkback, Terry. Hi, Terry.
Hello.
Yeah, hi, Terry. What's on your mind?
Just want to skim over a couple of things here. The gas prices. Diesel, I just finished looking it up. Diesel here is $2.38. Gas is $1.86. I'm no expert or chemical engineering or anything, but I was always under the impression that diesel was a byproduct of making gas, and I find it absolutely crazy that diesel can be 50 cents higher than gas when it's almost just like a bonus product for the petroleum companies. The other thing is, I called in a few weeks ago about pedestrian traffic.
Oh, yes.
And you dedicated a show to that, I believe, and I couldn't call in, but I found it really funny while I was listening to you. I was in a town south of Calgary here, going to a service call, and two young girls, maybe 10 years old, I swear honest to God, rode their bikes off the sidewalk at a corner right in front of me without slowing down. It was like the sidewalk went straight through across the road. And people are wondering why their kids are getting hit. There just seems to be no training by the parents is what I'm guessing. And then on that same program, a guy called in about Calgary dimming their lights. Their street lights and stuff. I could be wrong on this, but Calgary did do a program where I don't think they dimmed the lights, but they put on, instead of the flood lamps that we had that lit up your whole yard, the lights that are on now focus on the street. They're more of a spotlight.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think he mentioned that they were LED lights, and many municipalities, many major municipalities have done this because it saves the municipality electricity. Using the LED lights more energy efficient, so they've embraced LEDs, of course, in the name of energy efficiency and energy conservation. He was under the impression, I don't know if there's any truth to this, they just don't seem as bright anymore.
Yeah, they're pretty bright, but they're just focused. They're down on, like I say, they do not flood your yard. They are on the street. So literally in your yard, you're in the dark. On the street, you're in the light.
See.
And before the old lamps, they cast a broader light that covered half your yard. So it had something to do with light pollution as well.
So somebody was, say, playing in the yard and it was dusk or it just getting dark and maybe they darted out into the road. You might not see them until the last minute, do you think? Something like that? Potential scenario?
I guess it could be, but like I say, the sidewalk and stuff is covered. It's just not in your yard. That's what they've done. The other one thing that I really wanted to highlight today is people walking their dogs. Like they look like they're water skiing. They've got leashes that are 20 feet long. Some are walking two dogs, and they're dragging the so-called leader down the street, and they'll let their animals right up to your front door.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Right
that amazes me when I see that. That amazes me when I see that myself. I have had the darndest time trying to leash train my dog. Does not like being on a leash at all, let alone behaving the way a dog should when a dog is on a leash, being, right by your side, stopping when you stop, starting when you start. It's a very hard thing. I've been at it for 3 years with my dog. He still hasn't quite got the hang of it. But then you're right. You see some of these people that are walking their dog. They got these 20-foot leashes and it's, they're not really walking the dog. The dog is walking them, right?
That's exactly it. And I'm going, boy, I'm a believer that if you're buying a dog, you should probably have to take a course on how to walk your dog. And I think leashes should be, maybe 5 feet, and that's it.
Yeah.
Take your dog for a walk. Don't let him take you for a walk.
Very good point. Thank you. Yeah, good call, Terry. Very interesting topics that you've raised today. Eva, up next. First time caller. Eva, hi there.
Hi. Actually,
Eva.
Hi there. Did I hear correctly that the U.S. has signed off for the Keystone Pipeline to have it?
Parts of it. Yeah. Parts of it. Yeah.
So my concern is this. After the last time we had the problem with the Keystone Pipeline, we had to foot the bill. What happens if this gets carte blanche again? With the U.S., he's always changing his mind. And who's going to foot the bill once we start this project? Like, we're going to be responsible in federal, provincial, or how's that going to work?
Well, I imagine that it will be the company. It will be the company. This is not a government project. This is being built by a private company, Bridger Pipeline.
Oh, okay. Because after the last one, I didn't want to foot the bill again, and it was too much money.
And as I understand it, I don't even think it's a Canadian company. I think it's an American company. Yeah.
Better yet.
Better yet. Okay, that puts your mind at ease.
Well, as long as, we're not footing the bill, because with the U.S. keep changing their mind all the time, that was my main concern with everything that's going on in the economy.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So here I have I've just looked up a news report right now. Bridger Pipeline, LLC, a private oil transportation company based in Casper, Wyoming, submitted the proposal for a pipeline to the Montana Department of Environmental Quality. Bridger cited an executive order signed by President Trump in January, which declared a national energy emergency. The order directed federal agencies to expedite the production and transportation of domestic energy sources, including crude oil. Bridger said the project would represent a significant and meaningful investment in the U.S. energy economy.
All right.
Okay. So it's supposed to go from the Canadian border. It would go from the Canadian border to Wyoming.
So, but just so that I understand correctly, when the pipeline starts, it's going from the U.S. to the Canadian, right? Because I like
from the Canadian border to Wyoming is what it says here.
Wyoming. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
But it's not a Canadian government project. It's not a Canadian company project, as far as I can tell. It involves a U.S. company, a Wyoming-based company. Thank you for your call. This is News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Frank in Nova Scotia, you're on Talkback. Hello, Frank. Hello, Frank. Frank. All right, put Frank on hold. I kind of hear Frank, but I don't hear him. Let's try Sharif then in Kitchener. Hello, Sharif.
Hey, Rob Snow, how are you doing, boss?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you. How are you?
Good, man. Thank you. Is it Friday talk free that you can talk about any topic or just there's some?
That's right. Yeah, Friday free for all. Yeah, go ahead. Sure.
Well, I want to talk. Obviously, most of the time we say something doesn't change, but obviously we take things, we take things out of the chest, right? I want to talk about the interest rate from Bank of Canada, right? So
right.
This is the fourth time, right? They are like, oh, we don't change the interest rate, we didn't bring it lower. There's no excuse for Bank of Canada, in my opinion. That's nothing to do with war, with inflation. So if they bring the rate down, people can buy things, people can do business, people can sell, people can buy houses. And if somebody want to buy a house, no matter what, he's gonna buy. It doesn't matter what is the price of house. Like I'm working two jobs. Unfortunately, I lost one of them, but I'm working two jobs to pay my home, right? But so there's no excuse for Bank of Canada. They should bring the interest rate lower. And on that case, people buy house, sell house. They can renovate house. Everybody makes some money, and it's good for the economy.
I realize that. I would just say right now, if you could, Sharif, just let me jump in here. Right now, the Bank of Canada's overnight rate is 2.25%. I mean, it's historically, that's still a pretty low level. Long term, if you were to look out decades, 2.25% is not a high rate for the overnight rate for the Bank of Canada. And the Bank of Canada's mandate, why the Bank of Canada is there, the reason that it exists is price stability, sir. In other words, inflation, fighting inflation, making sure inflation doesn't get out of control, even if it means that your mortgage rate is more, even if it means interest rates are higher, because the major concern and the major job of the Bank of Canada is to make sure inflation doesn't get out of control. And I'm not surprised that the Bank of Canada held the line on interest rates. There's so much uncertainty in the economy right now. And just look, the price of gas. But look at the price of gas, sir.
Yeah.
You know that's going to feed through the whole economy. You don't want inflation running hot like it did during the pandemic again, do you?
But one thing, right? If conservative will be in power now, I guarantee that the rate will be lower because conservative.
No, I wouldn't say so. No, I don't believe you. The Bank of Canada is not beholden to the government of the day. The governor of the Bank of Canada is appointed by the Prime Minister, yes, but the Bank of Canada is independent of partisan politics. And I don't like it when politicians step in and say, well, the Bank of Canada should be doing this and the Bank of Canada should be doing that. You don't want politicians in charge of the money supply. You don't want politicians dictating interest rates. That's how you end up like Zimbabwe. That's hour number one. Hour number two of Talkback Friday Free for All, just ahead with more of your calls. This is News Radio.
It's time to talk back.
On Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Call now.
And have your say.
1-833-668-2577.
Welcome to hour number two of Talkback. I'm Rob Snow. It's the Friday Free for All Talkback. So pick a topic. We will give you a hearing. Your topic may be of interest to other callers as well. Sometimes it sparks an entire discussion. Let's go and try Frank again in Nova Scotia. First time caller. Hello, Frank.
Time of year when Nova Scotia typically experiences most of its wild activity.
Hey, Frank, whatever you have in the background, turn it off, Frank.
Yeah, I just turned it off. I'm about 30 seconds behind you. Thank you for taking my call.
You're welcome. What's on your mind?
Canada conversations to lay some information here. I'm retired. I was retired by the company, and they told me to find a little quiet spot on the earth and don't talk. Well, I'm still not talking because anyway, I just want to let everybody out there know, like, where do you think we get our technology from? Let's start with 1947 and just grew. Now we have a ship went down and east from here off Nova Scotia, which is Spry Bay. We had one go down in Mexico. We had one in Russia. And now all this technology is coming out. So I'm just all I wanted to say was, I know you're right across Canada. I love your show. I listen to it. I want to put the word out and let people think about what I just said.
Are you talking about, when you say ships, you mean spaceships? Alien ships?
I'm just saying we our technology, when it started actually our technology didn't start until in the 50s, but they pulled programs. Remember the Commodore 64? And it just kept
I had a Commodore 64. Yeah. I don't know if the Commodore 64 was alien technology, though. Pretty rudimentary alien technology. I don't think they came from outer space to bring us the Commodore 64, sir, with all due respect.
No, you're right, and they didn't. But they had to make somebody that had some brains in their head, like with scientists, to bring this technology forward. So we started with the Commodore 64, and it grew from there. Now think about where we're at right now. Like our cell phones hold more technology. It's unbelievable. Anyway, I was chief electrical electronics officer on a ship, research vessels, and of course I got to be everywhere in the room, and like I had right to the ground.
All right. I don't want you to give up any state secrets, but you are saying that some of the technology that we use today is alien in origin. Is that what you're saying, Frank?
I'm gonna say
I don't want to get you in trouble.
It's highly possible.
It's highly possible. Okay. Out there for public consumption. Thank you, Frank. Martha in Calgary. There you go. Friday Free for All Talkback. Are we using alien technology? I don't know. I doubt it's the Commodore 64, to be honest with you. Martha in Calgary.
Good morning.
Hi, Martha. Yeah, good to hear from you.
Hi.
What's on your mind?
Yes, I'm glad you called me back. I'm just using that name to protect my identity here, but
okay.
Problematic to do. Yes. I'm calling about this morning. There's so much on my mind, but this one is more than enough. I'm living in the neighborhood of Harvest Hills. Very quiet, very lovely neighborhood. I've lived here for a long time, and nothing has ever happened. Nothing has ever happened at all. And last week, someone take a rock, everlasting rock, and tossed in my window, broke my window, vandalized my house, right? And this was not done by a child. I didn't see the person. This was never done by the child. This is an adult, I'm sure, a big rock, and they have to come on my lawn, and they tossed that rock. They came close, and they tossed the rock. Even the panels bent. And just to say, insurance is not cheap. Nothing is cheap. No one has money sitting around. Right, I have to go find $1,000 for this, and this thing has put me out big time. And I'm sure.
Sorry to hear that.
The culprit that does this, they're walking around. I heard lately, people walking around vandalizing cars and doing this thing. But for me, they walked on the lawn. They didn't toss it by drive-by or anything. They have to come physically and toss this rock and break my window. This thing is so stressful. And finding out to pay $1,000 to pay for this, and the cost that I'm getting cost for this window at $1,200, $1,100 to replace it. This is a sad situation. So I'm just calling for the neighborhood to know, or people that are listening, live in the Harvest Hill area or anywhere else, that these crazy things are happening. The only thing that's happened to me since I live here, someone had jumped my fence and stole about $100 worth of bottles I had saving to be exchanged. That's it.
I see.
But nothing else.
That's it.
Yes. And
Right,
I'm very
right,
caught up
right.
about this. This thing is
And when did
draining
this
my
happen?
sleep.
When did this happen? When did this
Thursday
happen?
of this month. Thursday of
Thursday?
last week. Just
Thursday of
recently.
last week.
Yes.
Yes.
I am so.
Have you? I'm sorry, ma'am. Have you spoken with the police? Did you file
I
a
went
police
to
report?
the police. Unfortunately,
And what did they
though,
tell
I
you?
went to the police. I made a report, and I was disappointed because the police didn't even come and check or look at it. They took a report, and that was it. I'm so disappointed. They should have come and look. Big everlasting hole. Big. I'm saying a big hole in my house. Even though.
Sorry to hear that. Yeah, it's very unsettling, of course. Very unsettling. What time of the day did this happen?
11:55. And strange enough, thank heavens, I
I'm
was
sorry,
home.
11:55 in the morning or at night, ma'am?
Morning, daytime.
In the morning. Oh my gosh.
Yes, 11:55.
Broad daylight. At broad daylight.
Yeah, and the person saw us and they ran. I went, I didn't see no one. I looked and went and looked, no one wasn't around. So this might have been a plan. This is something someone might have planned. I am wondering what's the motive. What is the motive?
Have you spoken, if I could, ma'am, have you spoken with any of your neighbors? Have they experienced anything similar to this?
No, I have not. I spoke to my neighbor. They have not experienced anything. The only thing my neighbor said maybe last year.
Okay, one final question. Just one final question, because, and then we'll have to go.
Yes.
Have you angered someone? Does someone have it in for you?
No, I'm the best person ever live on earth. No, I have no beef with no one.
I wish you all the best. I wish you all the best. It's very unsettling. I'd be every bit as upset if it had happened to me. Knock on wood grain, it doesn't. Thank you for your call. All the best to you. This is News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
And there are lots of lines available there, folks. The wait won't be too long at all. The number to call is 1-833-668-2577. Comment on anything that's in the news or a topic that you think should be in the news. Raise a public concern like the previous caller did. Whatever it happens to be. 1-833-668-2577. It's the Friday free-for-all talkback. Love to hear from callers all across the country. Back to Calgary. Wilson. Hello, Wilson.
Yeah, hey, Rob.
Hey.
Long-time listener, first-time caller, like your show.
Thank
I'm in
you.
and out of my vehicle, so I, hear bits and pieces. But I'd like to make some predictions if I could lighten it up a bit.
Sure, yeah.
All right. So I think Kuzma, even with the Charles's visit, he still wants to kind of blow up Kuzma. I think he wants to hurt us economically, continue to hurt us economically. I think next year he'll come back and take another shot at Greenland and us. I think in his third year, he's probably China's going to take Taiwan. I don't think Trump's going to leave. He's going to build that ballroom. I don't think he's going to walk away from that, but I could be wrong. Who knows? And I'm happy to be wrong about all of it. But I thought I'd lighten things up with,
Oh, I thought you were going to lighten things up. None of that is light. That's not very light.
I hear you.
I was expecting something about I don't know, puppy dogs or pussycats or something, sports or whatever.
Well, I'm a courier, so gas prices. I'm paying $500 more a month for gas, but we get it back tax season next year. But hey,
right. And what are you driving, Wilson? You say you're in and out of the vehicle all day. What are you driving these days?
Chevy Trax, 4-cylinder.
Okay. Well, that can't be too bad on fuel, but
no, it's not bad.
All right. Yeah.
300 kilometers a day.
You're driving 300 kilometers a day. Oh, well.
Yeah.
That makes a difference. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. Yeah. When I was working during the pandemic and gas prices went above $2 a liter, I was driving a Dodge Ram and I was driving about 250 kilometers a day. And when gas hit $2 a liter, I had to say goodbye to Guts Glory Ram and downsize a little bit to something a little more fuel efficient. Right? It was very sad. It was a very sad day. I hated to say goodbye to that truck. I love that truck.
But now.
I mean, I have a RAV4 now, yeah, which is a fine vehicle, but it doesn't, a little 4-cylinder Toyota doesn't really compare to the Hemi.
No. King Charles will love you, though.
I suppose so. Yes, he would. Yes. All right, Wilson. Thank you. Anything else?
No. I just wanted what's your take on those predictions? I mean, it's garbage, right? But hey, you never know.
Well, I mean, when you say you think he's going to take another shot at Canada, I mean, what do you mean? What do you mean? What do you think could happen there? Are you just talking on the trade front or something else?
Trade and taking us over economically, or maybe he'll have his fellow his good buddy Putin rattle his war chain at us and scare us and say, oh my God, I got to protect you guys, so here I am, I'll protect you, but you've got to become part of the U.S., right? Is this kind of his MO?
I think what a lot of people are watching, just given what we're hearing from the Alberta independence movement and what we have heard from members of the Trump administration, their affinity for Alberta and its attitude and its energy wealth. I'm just wondering what's going to happen with the Trump administration and whether it's going to have any role to play on social media or through influencer support or whatever in the independence movement in Alberta. A lot of people are predicting that they'll insert themselves one way or another in the referendum campaign between now and the fall.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they already are big time. I think it's almost tied together right now. But I'm not a separatist. My MP is Michelle Rempel. I love her. She does good work, and so I'll continue with that. And not a separatist at all. Didn't sign anything, won't sign anything. But, hey, it is tied in. But I do think that he won't be happy with Alberta. Sure, he wants the oil, but, I think he wants the Western Hemisphere. I think that's in his brain still.
Well, it's not only in its brain. I mean, it's the policy of the United States.
Right.
It's in the foreign policy document about
I mean, he said
hemispheric control. They manifest destiny. They view this as their sphere of influence, and they will not tolerate anything but American dominance. That's not just in Trump's head. That is the essence right now of the foreign policy of the United States. Thank you. Every single phone line available now, folks. Every single one of them. So give us a call. We'll kick things around. Whatever it happens to be, big or small, serious, not so serious. Friday Free for All Talkback on News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Let's go to Red Deer. Dawn is there. Hello, Dawn.
Hi.
Hi, Dawn.
Okay, I've been waiting a long time for a Friday.
Okay.
I have. It's been a long time since Alberta has had where Albertans get a statement from Alberta Healthcare saying, for the last quarter, this is the doctor you saw, what was paid on your behalf, these are the services, whatever. And it really bothers me that has not happened for a very long time. And yet I believe there's a lot of corruption. I believe there's a lot of double dipping. I know of instances where it's come into question. And I'm wondering how we can shake the tree and get Alberta Healthcare to send a statement to all of the users so that we can sign off that, yes, that was done on our behalf. Would that not hold?
So I'm not familiar, Dawn, with the inner workings of the Alberta healthcare system. I'm not from Alberta. Don't live in Alberta. Don't use the Alberta healthcare system. Did you used to get a statement?
Yes.
That would say, okay, you went here. This is what was done. This is what the bill would have been had you had to pay it. Something like that?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, really? Okay.
Not that we had to sign off on it, but we got the statement of this is what was paid on behalf of you.
I see. And when did that stop happening? Was it recently that stopped happening? Was it years ago that stopped happening?
Years ago.
Years ago. Okay.
But I somehow think that because the Albertans don't pay the premiums, that it's I know of instances of seniors where there's been more than one team that have billed for that senior.
Oh, really?
And I'm thinking, well, if that can happen to them, why not to a lot of other people? And it seems our healthcare is so expensive. Anyway, I keep thinking we should find a way, a movement of hold them accountable. I want to see a bill of what's paid on my behalf.
Yes. Sunlight is the best disinfectant, as they say, right? The more transparency, the more openness. And plus, that's been advocated for in the past in other provincial healthcare systems, that if patients receive some sort of statement, not a bill, just a statement.
Yeah,
this is what was done. This is what the cost would have been had you had to pay the bill. It would give Canadians more insight into the actual costs of healthcare.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And what's being paid on their behalf, so they would either
and what's being paid on their behalf. Exactly. Yeah.
And I think it would be accountability and responsibility, because I think there's too much money goes into it, and there's not enough benefits from it. The waiting lists are too long, and all the rest of it.
Right. But what you're really questioning is the transparency and accountability.
Totally.
Yes.
Totally.
Yes. Very good point. Dawn, I thank you so much for your call from Red Deer today. Very informative. Thank you for filling me in there and raising those concerns. The latest breaking news is coming up next, and then we'll take more of your calls. But whatever is on your mind today, because it's Friday, and it's the Friday Free for All Talkback. This is News Radio.
Hi, everybody. Steve Paikin here. The world is changing fast, eh? I'm not sure I've ever experienced anything like it in my 40-plus years of journalism. Where does Canada fit in all of this? From federal politics to foreign policy to in-depth one-on-one interviews, we'll try to help you understand this uncertain era in which we now find ourselves. The Paikin Podcast. Find us on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Yeah, right back at it. Friday Free for All Talkback in the home stretch now of the week for us. Rob in Lethbridge up next. Hello, Rob.
How are you, Rob? I enjoy your show.
Hanging in there.
You do.
Could be a little warmer in this part of the country, Rob, for me first, but I understand you're having nice weather though, so that's good. You deserve it.
Yeah, it's actually 22 degrees. I have a couple things to kind of bring up. One's nuclear power, and the other one was apprentices that was discussing yesterday. Now,
2 days ago.
What I was in as an electrician for 50 years. And enjoyed it. There's not enough people out there that would take on what I have taken on over the years. You can't take on an apprentice, and I kind of disagree how they want to train these guys in 1 year. I've been training for 50 years. I still don't know it all. There's a lot of training out there. There's a lot of good jobs that are made from what we do. And you can't get enough people to do the jobs simply because they're on their computers or they don't want to work. And I'm a very strong advocate. You have to learn what is out there. You can't have everything all at once. It comes with experience.
Sure.
And
I understand that. I guess what I want to get at, one of the things they're trying, and you being an electrician for 50 years would know a lot more about how the whole system works than I do. But part of this plan from the Carney government, one of the complaints is that companies will not hire first-year apprentices. Okay, I've heard they want either people with more experience or they just don't want to pay people, 2 people instead of 1. So they're going to give a wage subsidy worth $10,000 to the company if they take on a first-year apprentice. What do you think of something like that?
To me, that's a good idea because when I started, you got nothing. You had to supply your own tools. You had to supply everything, even the clothes that you wore on your back. And that, to me, is a good incentive. It will put a spark under some of these young kids who want to get out there and learn and enjoy the trade as much as I have. It's got to start somewhere, and I think that's a good part on Carney's agenda to get these more people into the trades. Good idea.
Okay. All right. Did you like being an electrician? Did you like it? Was it fulfilling for you? Yeah.
It showed me a lot of things from steam up to nuclear to automotive. I kind of did a lot or exposed to. You take a lot of young kids that they might be, which is after a couple of years, you know how to wire a house very well. But explore different avenues. There's so many different avenues out there. I can't explain how.
Okay. But yeah, Rob, we're just going to move along. We're just going to move along because you keep dropping out and we're only getting like every second or third word now. I appreciate your call, though. And we did have quite an extensive conversation about getting into the building trades. That was a major announcement this week from the Carney government, a $6 billion announcement, trying to get 100,000 people. 15 to 30 was the target range to get them into the trades. A lot of opportunity there, they say. Rob, up next. Hello, Rob. Another Rob.
Hey, Rob.
Hey.
Yeah.
Rob's all around.
Yeah, just wanted to talk about the media's treatment of Poilievre and the Conservatives. You know, to me, it's kind of like victim blaming. You know, they had, 3 floor crossers? And I mean,
4. The Conservatives had 4, yeah.
Oh, okay, so 4.
Yeah.
You know, unless you're still living under a rock, you know why these people did it. And for personal gain, not, you know, the thing that got me probably the most is the fact that they literally said the same thing. I talked to my family, which I don't know what has to do with them being a politician, you know, federal politician. You know, of course, your family has a role in your life, but I mean, you chose that as a career. So, you know, your family shouldn't be able to decide whether, you know, what party you run with. And they said they talked to their constituents. Well, I believe the fellow in, I don't know, it's real chicken, had 23,000 people voted for him. Yeah, exactly. Had 23,000 people. Is he trying to tell us he talked to 23,000 people and they all said it was okay? Or he talked to them and they said, do what you want. You know, the thing is, Rob.
Or you know, did he harbor a grudge because he was running for speaker because he had been the deputy speaker? And I mean, being the speaker of the House is a pretty sweet gig. You know, you're in charge of the entire grounds of the House of Commons, comes with a big raise, a big staff, an official residence. You get to entertain a lot. Like being the speaker is a really sweet job. And the Conservatives didn't support his nomination to be the speaker. So did he hold a grudge?
And I won't go on for too long, but same thing with that woman who, the last lady, I do apologize, not out of disrespect, I don't remember her name, but she was a staunch conservative. And she even said, she even said openly, you know, if you want to leave your party, you should be held to a by-election.
Marilyn Gladue. Marilyn Gladue signed a petition. She had advanced a petition saying if you're a floor crosser, you should have to run in a by-election.
Yeah.
Well,
so and then her reason for not supporting that anymore was, well, you know what, it's up to the government. Well, you and I both know, Rob, that the government is not going to cut their own toes off, and you know,
and it wouldn't matter what party. It wouldn't matter what party was in power either, because parties of both stripes, the NDP never having been in power, but the Liberals and the Conservatives have both benefited from floor crossings. They both do it. They both have defended it when they're in office, and they decry it when they're not. It's kind of the way it is. I'm Rob Snow. It's Talkback Friday free-for-all. What's on your mind? Let me hear it. Let me have it. This is News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Yeah, Friday free-for-all Talkback. Just permit me, if you will. I do this every year. Tomorrow's the Run for the Roses. Most exciting 2 minutes in sports. Beginning of the Triple Crown season. It's the Kentucky Derby. Tomorrow, I always pick a horse. I always give my pick on the air. And I've asked Curtis to pick a horse. Last year's Kentucky Derby was so good because there were two horses that were favored to win. And you think about a year ago, what was the big question? Canada, sovereignty. The other one was journalism. That was the other horse that could have won, and it came right down to the wire, and journalism was in the lead, and sovereignty reeled in journalism, and sovereignty won the Kentucky Derby. That was last year's race. So a lot of horses in this race. It's going to be a crowded field. I think there are 20 horses in the race. The favorite right now is a horse called Renegade, but it's coming out of the first gate, and nobody's ever won the Kentucky Derby coming out of the first gate, like ever. So we'll see what happens. So Curtis, who are you picking? What horse? What's your pony here?
Well, it's Friday. It's got to be Right to Party. Right to party. Yes.
Right to party. Okay, I like that. Okay.
It's got,
all right.
You know, the odds are not in its favor at all. I will be honest. Like 6-1. Yeah. So it's right now in 5th place in the standings.
6-1 is not bad.
Yeah.
6-1's not bad. Okay. I'm going with Incredibolt, just because I love that name. Incredible. It kind of a long shot, 27-1, but hey, what do I know about thoroughbred horse racing? Nothing. I just like the name. I can hear it now. And down the stretch they come. It's Incredibolt. Like it just rolls off the tongue. Incredibolt, the number 11 horse, 27-1. That's my pick, and we'll see how we do on Monday. Fastest, most exciting 2 minutes in sports, they say. The Kentucky Derby.
Fastest 2 minutes of sports. Just me getting to the fridge watching the game.
Most exciting 2 minutes in sports. Yeah. So have a mint julep on the weekend and wear a fancy hat. Tony is up next in Calgary. Hello, Tony. Thanks for calling, Tony.
Hey, hi. How are you today?
Good, Tony. Thank you. Go ahead.
Good. Just have some trivia for you.
Trivia.
From Europe. Just got back from Europe and traveled through a region in France and through Paris. And guess what you don't see in those cities?
What
you
don't you
see
see?
Any stop signs that say arrête. They all say stop.
Oh, do they really? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm surprised to hear that.
I talked to a couple of service guys, and they said, yeah, no, we realize that the international language is English. So we're not going to be, posting anything that's internationally related in any other language. And, these are French people, right?
That's interesting.
The other thing that I found really interesting was how courteous the European drivers are on freeways. It doesn't matter if you're going 100 or 130. When you're merging, they anticipate the merge and move over. And I saw that time and time again. The only time they get pissed off is if you're not driving the right speed limit. Then they'll let you know. But other than that, everybody is always anticipating emerging and lane change. So there's freeways. They're always flowing well, and they're not any better, wider, or anything like that than the ones we have in North America. But my test case was back in Calgary for a week, and I came to a merge, and there was 3 cars lined up. None of them would change lanes to let me in.
None of them moved over? None of them
moved over. And we're only going like 70 or 80. But, I just thought, well, there you have it. That's why we have traffic problems in Canada.
Yeah, I could do a whole show on that, I suppose. Okay, Tony, thank you. Let's move along to Dave is up next. Hello, Dave.
Hi, Rob. How are you?
Yeah, hanging in there, Dave. Thank you.
Yeah, well,
what's up? What's on your mind?
Has to do with sovereignty and with Canada and the U.S. and my coin collections. How is it? I don't know if you've ever had this brought up, but you open up a roll of coins and there's a U.S. dime, nickel, quarter, and all that, and now I'm up to $46 worth, and the banks will not take this coin. And you cannot roll it in a coin roller. They're a lot thicker than the Canadian coins, so you're lucky to hide one or two in there, and that's about it. What do you think of that?
I never heard of that. So you're telling me if you rolled up whatever, a roll of dimes, American dimes, you take it to the bank, they won't take it?
Well, first of all, the roll of dimes will not fit in our coin rollers because they're thicker, same as the quarters and nickels. And,
okay, but you could still roll them. You could figure out a way to roll them, I suppose, right?
Well, I'll tell you right now, I've been to the States, and if you handed over one Canadian quarter of that, they'd throw right back at you.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And so, we're using their money up here, and it's counterfeit.
Right, but are you saying, in theory then, like if you took a roll of dimes, say to your local Royal Bank branch, would they give you some Canadian currency in exchange for it?
No.
They wouldn't. I'm surprised to hear that.
The only way they'll do it, Rob, is if you have a U.S. account, and if you have it rolled in U.S. paper, because they won't fit otherwise.
Really? Oh, it's the first I've heard of it.
Yeah,
I had no idea. I don't have a lot of coins. I don't have a lot of coin.
Well, luckily
let alone coins.
My son has property down there, so he's going to be using that to buy ice cream with the grandkids. So
there you go. Sounds good. All right. Very interesting, Dave. Thank you. Yep. Be right back. The final few notes and the final few calls here on Talkback on News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
May 1st. Gosh, May already. May Day. Yeah, it's May Day today. May Day. One of the big days in the labor movement is May Day, May 1st. Anniversary, by the way, of the Winnipeg General Strike. Started this day in 1919, the Winnipeg General Strike. That was one of the largest and remains one of the most influential labor actions in Canadian history, if you can think of it in Winnipeg. 30,000 people walked off the job. It shut down the city of Winnipeg. It shut the entire city down. All the offices were closed. All the businesses were closed. I mean, the city came to a standstill. Streetcars not running, this sort of thing. It was 1919, a time of high unemployment, high inflation, wages not keeping up with prices, and very poor working conditions and living conditions, especially for the many immigrant laborers who had moved to Winnipeg. And the federal government responded, oh, no, not by collective bargaining. No, of course not. They responded by calling in the Mounties, known then as the Royal Northwest Mounted Police. And they were supported by a very powerful anti-strike group called the Citizens Committee of 1,000. And tensions ran high and peaked on June 21st of that year. It lasted a while. I mean, you're talking 6-7 weeks of a general strike. And that became known as Bloody Saturday. And the Mounties charged at a crowd of strikers, and 2 people were killed. And all the strike leaders, they were rounded up and they were arrested, 94 of them. And that kind of killed the strike. And the strike ended 4 days later, the Winnipeg General Strike. And that's another reason why today is May Day. And so you're going to see a lot of, in many cities across the country, there'll be marches. There's a big May Day march in Ottawa today, here in the nation's capital. The public sector unions will be out there. They're usually front and center organizing marches. In Toronto, some of the union locals will be holding May Day events. There's a rally in Kitchener today as well. Big event planned for Montreal. Nothing much as far as I could tell in Calgary or Halifax, but May Day is still very much a thing in some parts of Canada and across the United States. There are thousands of protests happening today, May Day protests, protests against all kinds of things. They're protesting against ICE. They're protesting against billionaires. They're protesting against any and all things Trump. this is kind of a big day for the organizers of the No Kings protests. They're jumping on May Day as well. They're looking to shut down some government operations, protest in front of government buildings, and as well shopping centers, that kind of thing. May Day. Yes, it's May Day. First day of May. Thank you so much for all of your calls all week this week. I really do appreciate it. We will pick things up on Monday with a brand new topic and more of your calls. And until then, and always, the latest breaking news. This is News Radio